Hey guys, so what I remember doing in school was for learning how to read and the comprehension was in elementary school. I remember very vividly being asked certain questions about the book that we were reading during the time that we were reading them. So we would read a page and then my teacher would go around and ask us, what's going on in this page, have us look at the pictures to help us out with the questions. And then in middle school, the questions got a little bit harder, of course. We would read larger books and we would do comprehension checks, as my teacher would call it. After every single chapter in a chapter book, we would do comprehension check quizzes, and we would answer questions about what was going on in that chapter. And she would have just one question, and we would have to write an essay about what was going on in the chapter, how we felt about it, anything that we would change. I thought that was really neat, because normally you just read a book and you say, this is what happened, this was the plot, all of that. You don't really think of how you would change it. But yeah, I thought that was really neat. And then in high school, it was just exams. We would read the whole entire book and then have a whole entire exam about the book. I only had one teacher in high school that had us do comprehension checks for each chapter. But what she would do, we would just raise our hand and tell what chapter we read, and then how we felt about it, what was going on, and then people would just bounce off of each other. It was very informal, but most of my other English teachers would just have us do exams about everything in the whole entire book. I guess I already did the what kind of checking, but to go on about that, in elementary school I had trouble reading, so I had a reading aid, as they called it. So what she did to help us was we would read a sentence and then she would have us say it in a different way to make sure that we were comprehending everything that we just read. And that really helped, because I feel like when you read like a textbook, if you don't understand like even one sentence, the whole entire chapter might not make sense. Which kind of brings me on to what I do now. When I read for a class for like a textbook, if it's something that I know I'm not going to know unless I do something about it, I usually take notes or I highlight. If it's a book that I actually bought, I will highlight a section if I have no idea what it means. And then I'll read the chapter to make sure that maybe other things in the chapter help me with what I just highlighted. So sometimes that helps. Other times I'll take notes, and I take notes very literal, so I will write down absolutely everything that doesn't make sense to me, and then I'll go back in that chapter and see, where it answered any of my questions. I feel like this really helps prepare me for tests also, because sometimes the test questions are answered in a way that, asked in a way that I already put on my paper. But yeah, that's pretty much what I do. I just take notes and I highlight a lot. I feel like that just really helps me focus myself. And if I have absolutely no idea about a word or anything, I normally ask peers or I Google all the time. So if Google or my peers can't help, then I'll definitely ask the professor, because I'd rather ask and get that answer than not know and then you don't know at all, and then you're asked it on a test, or you have to do an essay about it and you have no idea what you're talking about. As for what I would like to do in the future for comprehension, I currently work at a daycare for before school and after school care. That's what I do. And for my after school care kids, what I do is I have them read one chapter of a book, and then it's a book that I've already read. And what I'll do is I'll have them write one sentence of their favorite part, and then I'll have them draw or write some more, depending on how well they write, what went on in that chapter. I really feel like this helps because it helps them comprehend what's going on, but they're not just writing about everything that went on, just writing verbatim exactly what the writer already said. They're using their artistic ability to do it. I think that really helps because a lot of my kids right now have a learning disability. I have a couple kids with dyslexia, so them just not writing really helps, and them drawing, they're still comprehending it. Yeah. Another thing that I would probably do is what my reading helper did in elementary school, is read one sentence and then ask them to tell me what that sentence said in their words. And I think that really helps because they have to think of what that sentence actually said and then another way to say it. So you're kind of getting it both ways. Yeah, that's definitely what I would do.